Hey there, Retro Film Haven here. So one can only imagine what it would have been like uh, to see movies during its infancy. We're talking back in the early 20th century, back between like 1910 and 1920s, or maybe even a little bit after that. This whole new medium, uh, just how incredible this imagery and is captured and presented, and how entertaining and it is, and just the feeling of the audience as they're witnessing what they're watching, like totally aghast and amazed at how these people are pulling these things off. I mean, just think of like how the reaction to the Great Train Robbery was, where the gunman shoots straight at the camera, and the from all accounts the audience is freaked out, thinking that an actual gunman was going to shoot them, and they like duck for cover. So imagine how it was back in 1923 when audiences watched Safety Last, starring Harold Lloyd. Uh, I can only imagine that their hearts were skipping beats while they were laughing hysterically at the comedy and death defying stunts that were taking place in this film. Uh, Safety Last is a cinematic and comedy classic from the silent film era. Now I can totally attest that watching a silent film, especially nowadays, can be a challenge because without the addition of audio, dialogue, or anything of that ilk, you your mind can tend to wander, and you kind of lose focus on the film. But fortunately, Safety Last is not one of those films where you're totally engrossed in what's going on in the story, which is a simple story about a boy named Harold, from town, heads to the big city to make some money so he can marry his girl, Mildred. And he gets to the city, makes friends, finds a job, and the what happens is that his girl decides to visit him, and he's still one. He hasn't told her that he's not a bigwig of any kind. He's told her he's a bigwig of any kind, but in truth, he's just a sales clerk, and he has to do what he can to cover his tracks to make her believe that he's the bigwig that he says he is, and that leads to an event where he finds himself scaling the walls of a 12-story skyscraper. And Safety Last is well known and for that sequence of Howard Lloyd scaling the side of a building, which I'm sure you've seen the photos of him hanging from a clock. Uh, Now the film itself is just chock full of like great comedy bits. It's visual comedy, uh, like situational comedy, and pratfalls. It's not like parody level comedy or anything like that, or sight gags or anything like that. But it's just germane and natural comedy based on the situations and the physical surroundings on what's going on. And Lloyd is charming as hell and very engaging, and he's very funny. The comic timing and a lot of this is it's very highly dependent on that timing for it to work, especially the visual puns and elements, and and it's great that the directors Fred Newmeyer and Sam Taylor are basically set up jokes, and they pay off quite well. But what Safety Last is best known for is that building scene where he's climbing the side, and that is just a a tour de farce when it comes to comedy and suspense being perfectly blended together. Um, it's a really like I'm just amazed at just how they pulled this off in 1923, where nowadays it would be primarily just all CGI. Um, and here, it this predates CGI, so you can't use wires or anything. But there is some trick photography involved, uh, where it's Lloyd looks like he's climbing the building, but he is in fact high up on a building, but he's on a different facade, and the way it's photographed makes it look like he's on that actual building. But while he's safely on a roof, but he's still high up performing that stunt. But there are actual stuntmen who doubled for Lloyd who actually performed these stunts of climbing the side of the building without any safety gear. So that's just amazing. And just the way it turns out is just a fun film, entertaining film, fun for the whole family. And because it's a silent film, it's typically these films are accompanied by like some sort of organ score, and it varies depending on where you watch it. But when I had the opportunity to see Safety Last, it actually came with a live accompanied score played right there, and it was a very well done score that is very well connected to the film, and not like the random like scores of like say like a Phantom of the Opera where the music that's playing just seems incongruous with what's going on screen. But hopefully, if you when you do see Safety Last, and I highly recommend you do, that you see a version that has a suitable musical accompaniment to really enrich the entertainment of it all. But even then, even without the music, you can still watch it without any music, and it's still just as effective. So, Safety Last is a fantastic film, very funny, very entertaining, very suspenseful, especially if you don't like heights. And it features a stellar performance by Howard Lloyd. So I would have to give Safety Last 5 stars out of 5. It's a comedy classic, and you could almost say a cinematic masterpiece. And it's definitely one worth seeing. Seek it out wherever you can find it. So, have you heard of Howard Lloyd? Have you seen Safety Last? Please comment below and let me know what you think. If you haven't already done so, please hit that like button. And then please subscribe to my channel so you can see further retro film reviews as they come along. And be sure to hit that bell button to be notified so that you're notified when I do so. So until next time, my friends, see you at the movies.